On an ordinary October morning in 2002, the capital of the United States became a city under siege. In Washington, D.C., commuters filled the roads, children waited for school buses, shoppers carried bags through suburban parking lots. Then came a sound, sharp, distant, almost unnoticeable, followed by the collapse of another body. At first, it seemed like random violence, but within hours, as victim after victim fell, fear swept across Maryland, Virginia, and the district itself. A sniper was loose in America's capital, and no one knew who would be next. For 3 terrifying weeks, the region became paralyzed. People crouched while pumping gas, zigzagged across parking lots, avoided walking outdoors. 11 people were murdered, 6 more wounded, seemingly at random. The killers left behind no clues except fear. When they were finally caught, the truth was more shocking than anyone expected. Not a terrorist cell, not foreign enemies, but 2 men, an embittered former soldier named John Allen Muhammad and a teenage runaway named Boyd Malvo. Together they became the D.C. Snipers, orchestrating one of the most chilling killing sprees in American history. John Allen Muhammad was born John Allen Williams in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in 1960. His childhood was fractured. His mother died when he was 3, leaving him in the care of relatives. From an early age, he learned abandonment, instability, and resentment. In the 1980s, Muhammad enlisted in the U.S. Army. He served as a marksman, gaining skills with rifles that would later become tools of terror. He was competent, respected for his precision, and left the Army with a record of service. But life outside the military proved less stable. He married twice, fathered 4 children, and saw both marriages collapse in acrimony. His second wife, Mildred, described him as controlling and abusive. When she filed for divorce and won custody of their children, Muhammad snapped. He vowed revenge, telling her she would pay, that she would never be safe. By the late 1990s, Muhammad was adrift. He drifted to Antigua, where he met a 15-year-old boy named Boyd Malvo. Malvo's own childhood had been scarred. His parents separated, his mother desperate and neglectful, dragging him across countries in search of work. Malvo latched onto Muhammad as a father figure, a mentor, even a savior. Muhammad saw in Malvo something else, a disciple, someone he could mold, someone who would obey. The relationship between the two grew disturbingly close, with hints of both paternal and manipulative sexual undertones. By 2001, Malvo was living with Muhammad in the United States, indoctrinated into his worldview. Muhammad's plan was simple, but sinister. He wanted to wage a campaign of terror, to make the nation feel his pain. But beneath his rhetoric about war and control lay a personal obsession: his ex-wife. Muhammad fantasized about destabilizing Washington, D.C., creating chaos, then using that chaos to mask his ultimate goal: killing Mildred and regaining his children. To achieve this, he and Malvo trained with firearms, prepared stolen vehicles, and crafted a mobile sniper's nest from the trunk of a 1990 Chevrolet Caprice. They cut a small hole near the license plate, allowing them to fire unseen while lying hidden inside. It was a sniper's blind but mobile, deadly, and perfect for instilling terror. Their first murder in the D.C. area came on October 2, 2002. At 5:20 p.m., 55-year-old James Martin was shot and killed in the parking lot of a grocery store in Wheaton, Maryland. The next morning, the rampage began in earnest. 5 people were killed in a span of just 16 hours, shot outside gas stations, schools, and shops. There was no warning, no pattern, no mercy. Victims ranged from a landscaper mowing grass to a woman loading groceries to a cab driver filling his tank. Panic surged through the city. The randomness made everyone a target. The killers were methodical. They fired from long distances, choosing locations that allowed a quick getaway. Witnesses reported only a faint crack, a body falling, and then silence. The blue Chevrolet Caprice blended into traffic unnoticed. Police had no leads, only fear. As days passed, the snipers expanded their territory. They killed in Maryland, Virginia, even striking near the nation's capital itself. One of the most chilling moments came on October 7th, when 13-year-old Iran Brown was shot outside his middle school in Bowie, Maryland. The boy survived, but the message was clear. No one was safe, not even children. Parents kept kids home, schools went into lockdown, playgrounds emptied. Meanwhile, Muhammad and Malvo reveled in the chaos. They monitored news reports, taunted police with notes left at crime scenes, and demanded ransom. In one message, they wrote, "Your children are not safe anywhere, anytime." Their arrogance grew, their hunger for control deepened. Malvo, under Muhammad's influence, pulled the trigger as often as his mentor, each shot binding him tighter to the older man's will. Investigators were under immense pressure. The FBI, ATF, local police all scrambled to stop the killings. But the case was maddening. No clear suspect, no obvious motive. The killers seemed to vanish after each attack. False leads poured in. White vans, shadowy figures, rumors of terrorist cells. But in reality, the killers were hiding in plain sight, their blue Caprice parked among other sedans, their rifle poking from a hole no one thought to check. The breakthrough came not from high-tech forensics but from old-fashioned detective work. A call to a tip line linked the D.C. shootings to earlier murders in Alabama and Washington state. Fingerprints from those cases matched Boyd Malvo. Investigators also realized the Caprice had been registered to John Allen Muhammad. The puzzle pieces snapped into place. On October 24, 2002, police finally closed in. Acting on a tip, they found the blue Caprice parked at a rest stop in Maryland. Inside, Muhammad and Malvo were sleeping. Their rifle lay at their side, ready for another killing. After a massive manhunt, the terror ended quietly, with 2 men arrested without resistance. The trials that followed revealed the depth of their depravity. Prosecutors argued that Muhammad had manipulated Malvo, turning a vulnerable teenager into a killer. The defense painted Malvo as brainwashed, a boy under the spell of a sociopath. Muhammad was convicted and sentenced to death. In 2009, he was executed by lethal injection in Virginia. Malvo, only 17 at the time of the killings, was sentenced to life in prison without parole, though recent rulings have opened the possibility of resentencing given his age. The D.C. sniper attacks left scars beyond the deaths. They reshaped public life. For weeks, ordinary routines, pumping gas, walking to school, became acts of terror. Businesses shuttered, tourism collapsed, the capital froze. The case highlighted the vulnerability of open societies to random violence. More than terrorism or ideology, it was fear itself that Muhammad and Malvo wielded as a weapon. Culturally, the attacks became a reference point, a reminder of how quickly safety can shatter. Books, documentaries, and dramatizations revisited the case. Survivors and families of victims still carry the weight of those 3 weeks. For them, the memory is not of headlines, but of empty chairs at dinner tables, of birthdays missed, of lives stolen by 2 men who sought power through pain. In the end, the story of the D.C. snipers is not just about killing. It is about manipulation, about how one man's rage can consume a boy, and how together they held a city hostage. It is about the fragility of trust, the terror of randomness, and the question that lingers. Could it happen again? Even now, gas stations in Virginia and Maryland recall those weeks of dread. People remember crouching behind car doors, scanning rooftops, and praying for survival. The memory of the night of October 2002 still whispers. Fear can arrive without warning. Death can strike in silence, and sometimes the predator is not in the shadows but in the car right beside you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Crimson Narratives, because behind every headline lies a story that chills, a reminder of the darkness that walks among us.